Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Barbara Talks Some More. My name is Barbara and this is my second channel. So over here I go over public figure natal chart readings, synastry readings, and whatever else comes through to talk about. Check out my original channel as well. It is called Barbara Talks. Over there I go over astrology overall, so anything to do with astrology charts, okay? I have playlists over there so you guys can check out what you're interested in and then find your placement in the playlist. I also go over metaphysical things over there as well, concepts, ideas, all of these things. And then also I go live over there. So it's always fun to meet you guys and chat with you guys as well. So be sure to subscribe to that channel as well. That one is called Barbara Talks. So let's go ahead and jump into today's reading. So I've been wanting to do this reading for a while now. Okay, I had hooked into Robinwilliams energy maybe about a month ago now, maybe a little bit longer. Honestly, the time goes by so fast these days, so I don't even know how long it's been at this point. But yes, I wanted to do a reading on him because I saw the cutest video of him. I think he was with monkeys or something of that sort, gorillas. I can't remember now what it was exactly, but yeah, it popped up on my feed and I was like, oh my goodness, like what a pure soul. I was like, let me look up this man's chart, okay? So for him, and this is what I do always for everybody, by the way, I always look up their natal charts. For him, I have him here as July 21st, 1951, born at 1:34 p.m. in Chicago, Illinois, okay? So I checked 3 or 4 different pages here, 4 different pages. They all have him as 1:34 p.m. and the rating here is AA. Okay, so I guess that's really good. So we're gonna go based off of this. I mean, it makes sense, okay? Because if we do go based off of this, I have him here as a sun in Cancer, moon is in Pisces, and his rising sign is in Scorpio. That is intense for this world. Now, before I get into the reading, I want to let you guys know that, this is for educational purposes only, and if you guys have, let's say, certain energies in your chart, it might not play out that way. Sometimes it depends on the overall chart, the combinations that are taking place in the chart as well, okay? So it's not always going to be the same thing for everybody. Also, there's always how the energy could express itself in the light version and in the dark version as well. So just keep this in mind, okay, when you guys are learning about certain things, because there's also aspects, right? So for example, he's the sun in Cancer, but then it's like a sextiling Saturn, right? So it's grounding that Cancer energy a little bit more. So it's like sometimes the aspects are really going to change the energy, okay? So, and then there's the houses and there's everything, right? So again, it might not necessarily play out the same way in your own natal chart. So that's that. And also, I'm not a psychologist. That's another one of my disclaimers. And also, these are just my own opinions and observations, okay? Just from hooking into the energy and looking at the charts. Now, the other thing that I also want to mention before I get into the reading is if you guys would like your own natal chart reading, synastry reading, progress natal chart reading, the information for that is going to be in the description box below. You guys can go on my website, select the readings tab. You go and see which reading you guys would like. When you click on book now, okay, or book, the email window should pop up, okay? So you send me an email and we will go from there. I also have a mini natal chart reading and a mini synastry reading. The video that I'm doing today is going to be closer to the mini readings that I do compared to the in-depth, okay? Longer readings where I go over absolutely everything. Today I'm just going to go over what jumps out at me when I first pull up the chart here. This is what I noticed when I did first pull up his chart, was all this water, okay? Oh, and that's the other thing that I wanted to mention. I don't think that he took himself out, okay, or how some people say these days, deleted himself or self-deleted, okay? I don't think he took himself out of this airplane. I think that, as usual with a lot of these celebrities, okay, maybe he was going to speak, maybe he was going to say something, maybe he was going to become a threat, okay, something of that sort. And, what's really interesting to me is here it says that, again, this is a trigger warning, by the way, if this is a sensitive topic for you guys, definitely click off now, but I'm sure if you guys know about Robinwilliams, you probably know how he took himself out, or allegedly took himself out, right? Anyway, so again, trigger warning, so click off now. But yes, here it says that he hung himself, okay? And it's interesting because I actually hook more into substances and substance abuse. Like I thought he, got taken out by substances or overdosing or something of that sort. Like to me, it's more so pharmaceutical substances. Like that's what I'm hooking into, okay? So I find it really interesting that they say that he quote unquote hung himself, because that's not what I get, okay? That's not what I get at all, actually. And also, if it was substances, a lot of the time it's entities from the astral. So when you have these energies in your chart, especially if you have a lot of water, especially if you have a moon in Pisces, trying to stay away from any sort of drugs, even alcohol. The Cancer energy is also prone to alcohol as well, okay? Having his sun in Cancer and Mars in Cancer, the father could have been an alcoholic, actually, okay? maybe that's even the energy here too. Maybe like the family around him or the parents around him were addicts. There could be an energy of that as well, because the moon is in Pisces, so there could have been escapism connected to the home or something of that sort. Okay, but it's around him and it's around his energy field. But I'm getting more so pharmaceuticals, which is interesting enough, where like it got mixed with something. Like I'm seeing just like psychically seeing water or like a cup or something of that sort. It's like all the water in his chart is connecting me to this, like some sort of substance, and you know, a quote unquote, not necessarily overdose like by his own hand, but I just feel like either somebody mixed something in there, or you know, something took place where it's like from the astral. Like that's what happens to people sometimes too, and this is why it's important to keep your energy fields closed, which by the way, I have a video on that on my original channel as well, called Barbara Talks, and it's under my metaphysical playlist, where I talk about how entities hook into your energy field. And this is why it's really important not to do substances at all. And I don't know if he had a substance issue, by the way. Like I don't know that much about him. Like I know he was kind of like almost like America's sweetheart. Like he has such a kind face, you know, he has like a very warm, you know, smile and so on and so forth. And he was in a lot of these comedy movies and so on and so forth, which is interesting because when I calculated his overall life path, 8, okay, it was 8. So he's here to master money, or was meant to. And then he's born on the 21st, which is a 3-day number, which is usually comedian, speaking, you know, using the throat chakra, basically, okay, is going to be connected to your overall life path if you have, let's say, a 3. Now, for him, okay, there is this energy. Oh, I'm seeing the Mars in the A house as well. Uranus is in the A house as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Either he was around addicts or he himself was an addict. I don't know if that's part of his story, but I'm kind of hooking into this. So I kind of feel like what actually took place here was there's something going on here. I keep seeing a cup, like it's a cup of water, and I keep seeing like actually a metal straw, which is so interesting, but maybe it's like more so symbolic what I'm kind of hooking into here psychically. And I just like the metal straw to me is just like I hear that sound when you're like it's like on the glass cup and it's making that tinkling sound, like mixing, like almost like somebody mixed something and gave it to him, either to drink or to ingest or something of that sort, or he didn't know, or something got mixed up, or maybe it was like a pharmaceutical got mixed up with something, or maybe got mixed up with alcohol, something here, okay, because I'm seeing water. Like I literally see psychically, okay, in my mind's eye, I see a couch, but it's like he's sitting in like a, it's not a couch, it's like a, what are those called? Like a sofa, but it's for one person. I don't even know what the name for that is. It's not the love seat, it's literally the individual couch, like for one person, okay? It's red. And it's one of those seats that when you sit on it, and it's red leather, by the way. So it's when you sit on it, it like the foot thing, okay, you can like take it out, right? So you can like kind of recline in the chair. And beside that chair, okay, this is so interesting. I was not expecting this reading to go in this way, you guys. You never know what you're going to get. But anyways, and all this is alleged, by the way, it's just what I'm hooking into, okay? And beside that leather chair, okay, which is red, it's not even red. It's like a burgundy, okay? It's like a burgundy maroon red color, okay? Beside that, there's like a wooden table, okay? But it's like, you know, almost like an olden day, like little wooden circular table with like the little, you know, like almost like, what are they called? It's not a pole, but it's shaped like a cylinder, like 3 cylinders coming out, okay? And it's like literally beside this like chair, okay? And that's where I see the cup with the metal straw. Like I keep seeing the metal straw, okay? So again, maybe symbolic for, again, because it's like the mixing. Something took place here where it was mixed. And I think that's actually what ultimately led to his death. So again, maybe somebody mixed something in his drink. Maybe something got mixed up with his like medication and alcohol, okay? Because I keep picking up on like substances, but I'm getting more so pharmaceutical substances, okay? So I do feel like, again, it could have been, what's the word? Like somebody else, foul play. That's the word that I'm looking for. Another person, or if it's not another person, it could have been from like the astral. So when it could have been from the astral, it could have been like, again, messing with his mind or something of that sort. Or he was drinking alcohol, something got mixed up or mixed in or something of that sort. I don't think it was hanging, allegedly, my own opinion. So that's what I'm getting, interestingly enough. I was not expecting that. Anyways, so that's what I'm looking into in terms of what potentially took place. Now, going back to basically his placements here. So his sun is in Cancer, moon is in Pisces, and then his ascendant is in Scorpio. This is a challenge, okay? When you have water energy in your natal chart, okay, it's very difficult to operate down here because you're basically going against the Earth's energies, okay? So the Earth plane operates out of basically, again, Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. More than anything, is going to be Capricorn, okay? So the Capricorn energy is Saturn, okay? And allegedly, my opinion, I feel like that's what rules everything down here. But of course, we have the other Earth energies, okay? Which is going to be Virgo, which is going to be Taurus energy as well. So when you have Cancer, Pisces, and Taurus taking place in your chart, you're literally directly opposing the Earth's energies. I hope that makes sense. So that already on its own is a challenge. Now on top of that, you're operating out of your feminine, okay? Even though the Earth energy is quote unquote feminine, because it is a shadow masculine plane and it's inverted, right? Those energies don't really fall into feminine energy if you think about it, right? It goes more into the shadow masculine, but water is feminine. You're also retaining, you're also holding, okay? You're holding your emotions, other people's emotions, a lot of unprocessed things. That's why, unfortunately, a lot of people, they haven't processed their own things, and sometimes it's things that were passed on to them from their family members, okay? It's like you hold on to that, okay? And that's why you'll see like weight, okay? So sometimes people who have water in their chart, they hold on to weight, okay? But it's other people's weight. It's not even their own, okay? Is really, really what it is. So, it's a struggle. So that on its own is a struggle. Not to mention, he was definitely an empath, right? Super empathetic, right? Again, the moon in Pisces, like super, super empathetic, like really caring, like a very sensitive soul. Like I feel like he was almost too sensitive for this world, okay? Now, what's interesting here is his midheaven is Leo, Mercury is in Leo as well. Oh, these two are conjuncting. That makes sense why I was pulled to look there, okay? Literally at 22 degrees. They're both conjunct, even though the Mercury is actually in the ninth house for him. So there it is, his work, his career of speaking, communicating, opening up the throat chakra. Now I'm wondering, okay, because I'm just like really curious to know, like, did he start speaking toward the end of his life? Okay, because I feel like that was part of also what he was meant to do. Okay, and I feel like he got taken out prematurely. So either he started to speak and then they took him out, or they were worried that he was about to start to speak. Okay, again, I don't know the full story, right? I mean, I just did another reading, which for that reading, I actually looked up some videos of the, person and characters, right? And the story, right? To get a better grasp of what that storyline actually was. But if I were to do that for every reading, it would be like me spending like 3 hours per person, right? To like investigate them further, right? So this is just me hooking into the energy here. So I don't know the whole story here. Maybe some of you guys know, maybe some of you guys can put it in the comments below, like what actually took place here. But I do just have this like vision of him like actually holding a microphone and talking. So I don't know if he was about to talk. I don't know if he was speaking already and that's why they took him out, but there's something going on here, okay, where he was about to speak. I just like feel like he started putting in like subliminal messages or something of that sort, like talking in code or something of that sort to quote unquote start exposing. And the other thing that I think took place here for him too, a few things. First of all, okay, his sexuality. He's got Mars conjunct Uranus, okay? Usually this is unconventional sexuality, so you will see this in the LGBTQ plus community, okay? Sometimes people say that for those individuals, it's Venus, Uranus. My opinion, I think it's Mars, Uranus, right? Because Mars literally deals with your sexuality, right? So his Mars conjunct Uranus, this is unconventional sexuality. I know he had kids, but I don't know, maybe this is something that he's suppressed within himself, maybe he was bisexual, maybe he wasn't out about it, but it's also his 8th house, right? So it's literally like conjunct in his 8th house of sexuality. Now, that's taking place. The other thing that's taking place too is also his Mars squares his Neptune. That's what I was looking for, because I do pick up on trigger warning. Okay, trigger warning. I do pick up on like childhood abuse here or something of that sort taking place here. Okay, I do pick up on that because sometimes Mars square Neptune can bring upon abuse. Okay, or just like being overly exposed to sexual things early, because basically what Mars square Neptune does, okay, it's like there's no boundaries around sexuality, right? So it's like you could have been exposed to this at an early age, or maybe later on it's like your own sexuality, there's no boundaries. But it's like even if there's no boundaries, it's like why are there no boundaries, right? It's like there's something here that could have potentially taken place, right? Whether it's overt or covert, okay? So that's the other thing that I kind of picked up on in his energy. And I am curious to know, like, was he an addict? Because I just keep picking up on addict energy around him. Now, the thing is, it's like I pick up on both. I pick up on both substances, but then also pharmaceuticals. So I don't know if it's like the chicken and egg. I don't know if he started with pharmaceuticals to numb his, issues and then went into substances, or maybe he was on the substances, weaned himself off, and then went into the pharmaceuticals. There's something of that sort taking place here, okay, with him. Something to do with addiction. And I do feel like his addiction actually, also trigger warning, but I do feel like it's rooting from whatever was going on with his sexuality, okay? Because the way that I see addiction is it's always connected to the sacral chakra, especially for the type of addiction that goes into a little bit more extreme addiction. All addictions are rooted in the sacral chakra, in my own opinion, because the sacral chakra is also where codependency is. So sometimes people are addicted to relationships, sometimes they're addicted to validation, sometimes they're addicted to shopping. Like you're soothing an emotion ultimately, right? But for the more extreme addictions like substances, substance abuse, okay, those a lot of the time I find tend to just my own opinion. Allegedly, I'm not a psychologist, okay, just my own observations. I find a lot of those root from some form of sexual abuse, okay, whether it is overt, whether it's covert. And the covert one is sometimes trickier. Sometimes it's passed down, because I keep picking up on this feeling of shame, but I feel like it's passed on to him from another person. Like, I don't think it's his own, which most of the time that feeling isn't even your own, it's passed on to you, okay? Him having the Uranus and Mars in the A house, like there's something going on here, okay, that potentially could have taken place. He even has Lilith and Cancer in the A house as well, and it's conjuncting all of this, which, by the way, you guys, if this is your first time here, I look up to 10 degrees of an orb. Some people look up to 15. Sometimes, if it catches my attention, I do look at the 15-degree orb. Do you know what I mean? Okay, because sometimes I'm hooking into the energy, right? And some people look at tighter orbs, okay? But usually, most of the time, okay, I'm looking at up to 10 degrees of an orb. So anyways, the Lilith being in here, this is something that he didn't process. And it's the Cancer energy also that kind of took him probably into the substance abuse route. Like the Cancer mixed with the Pisces for sure. Because again, Cancer is alcohol usually. Just the way that I hook into the energy, especially Mars and Cancer. Mars and Cancer tends to deal with alcohol. The father would have been an alcoholic, or like men around you are alcoholics. And again, in this case, because it's him being the man, he could be the alcoholic here. And Pisces, Moon in Pisces deals with substances. And substance abuse, okay, is really what it is. There's something unconventional about his home and his upbringing here, okay, because the IC is in Aquarius, the moon is shining the Uranus. Also, this could deal with the mother as well, okay, maybe she was cold or distant or something of that sort. There's something going on here with his mother and the father. It's like, I'm not sure if the mother was an enabler or something of that sort taking place here, but there's something going on here with the mother as well, where it's like, I feel like he feels like his relationship with the father was because of the mother. I hope that makes sense. This is more so psychically I'm hooking into this, okay? That's basically what's going on with that. His Venus is in Virgo, so when it came to women, he was picky, okay? So it's a struggle when you have Venus in Virgo, especially when you're a man, because for men who are into women, or anybody who's into women, really, okay, you're going to look at the moon and you're going to look at the Venus. It's really what it is. So it's like, there's an energy here also of just like not seeing women clearly either, and that's connected to the mother again, okay? So there's something here going on with the mother energetically is really, really what it is, where, again, he didn't see the mother clearly, or she was maybe kind of an escapist because it's moon in Pisces. Okay, sometimes moon in Pisces is like the ideal home, like unconditionally loving. Sometimes it can be like even overbearing. Parent in this case, it could be the mother, or again, the dominant feminine role in your life, or it could be the father. If the roles are reversed for some people. Traditionally, the moon is the mother and the home. You know, sometimes, you know, it could be too much, or it could be too overbearing. I feel like there's a pole here, okay, for him, between the need for closeness and intimacy, but then feeling overly suffocated probably by the mother, which affected his relationships with women. I think that that's actually what's happening here, okay? Because he has this basically opposing here, the moon opposing the Venus. So it's like he's at this internal conflict when it came to the women in his life. Like part of him wanted some sort of perfect ideal relationship, idealizing people, but then I think when reality would kick in, you know, it would, you know, be really hard to grasp or accept, but then at the same time he would feel suffocated by these relationships is kind of what I'm picking up on here for him, okay? So I'm getting that as well. And then Mercury conjunct Pluto, really smart, okay? Mercury conjunct Pluto, always 10 steps ahead. You know, this is probably also why he kind of transmuted, or at least tried to transmute maybe some of the darkness that was taking place in his life into humor, okay? Because his Mercury is in Leo after all. This is one of the funniest Mercury signs, okay, in my opinion. Mercury in Leo is hilarious, but again, it's conjuncting Pluto, so I think that was his outlet for maybe the darkness, or just like things that were taking place behind the scenes. And it's interesting because his energy, like energetically, or like his backstory energy in terms of the energy that I'm picking up on, I hope you guys are following what I'm trying to say here. Like his energy signature to me is actually very similar to Matthew Perry. This is really interesting. I was not expecting this to go in this direction, okay? So there's almost like a parallel here between the two of them in terms of even like addiction, in terms of just like the water energy, or just like being a man and struggling to deal with that water energy within, like the feminine energy within, not maybe having an outlet for it. Like there's almost like a parallel here. So I'm curious if the two of them have any connection to each other, okay? In terms of like, did they ever work together? Were they friends? Or anything of that sort. That's kind of what I'm hooking into. There's like a similarity in the energy fields here. So that's pretty much that. The other thing I wanted to look at also was his North Node, okay? So his North Node is in Pisces also. So there's a North Node in Pisces. Fourth house opposing the Virgo in the 10th house. This is interesting because then his South Node, okay, which is in Virgo in the 10th house, is conjuncting his Venus, which is like all of his lovers, or like again the feminines in his life, were connected to a previous lifetime, so he was resolving karma with them. And then his north node is in Pisces, it's in the 4th house, it's conjuncting the moon, okay, which I guess this could kind of be that vibe of like the household name, or like becoming very well known in like the country where he's from, okay, so it could be that. But also there's something going on here too, where there's something with the mother, like there's something going on here energetically behind the scenes with the mother, where it's like the relationship, I just feel like, was ruptured like early on. There's like a lot of blame, like energetically, that it's like not overt, it's very subtle. It's not even maybe blame, but there's something here, like the tension with the mother, the relationship with the mother, like something in the early part of the life here. And again, allegedly, obviously, like just what I'm hooking into, took place here connected to the mother, okay, which is interesting because that I think also propelled him to activate his overall life purpose, okay, but it's something that's unresolved energetically. There's almost like this block where it's like even internally within his energy field, I think that's something that's not fully rectified. So that's gonna have to be something that needs to be energetically processed or cleared, is really what it is. But basically whatever took place with the home and the mother here, okay, moon in Pisces, 4th house, activated him into his life purpose. Like it pushed him in that direction, but it's almost like on the soul level he didn't want to go in that direction. Like there's something here where it's like he didn't want to be in this field. So I'm not sure if he was born into this, I'm not sure if like the mother pushed him in that direction or something of that sort, okay, but there's almost like a resentment. Like it's so subtle, you guys, the energy that I'm hooking into here, it's very, very subtle, okay, it's very covert, very behind the scenes. It's like under lying is really what it is. And there's like a resistance almost, because I'm kind of hooked into his energy now. There's almost like a resistance to admit that, either to himself or outwardly or something of that sort. There's like a barrier here energetically, okay, where almost he like separated himself from this or something of that sort. But yes, that's kind of what I'm getting here as I'm hooking into the energy, which is really, really interesting. Because, you know, sometimes when I do these readings, I was hooked into the person's energy field for a while. So I was kind of hooking into things. So I like know what I'm going to say in the reading. But like today, I was like, you know, I was hooked into his energy maybe a month ago, but he hasn't been on my mind until today, where I was like, okay, let me do a reading on somebody else. And then, you know, now all this is coming out. So really, really interesting. Anyways, the other thing that I'm noticing here too, that's kind of standing out to me also, is his midheaven conjunct the Pluto. So his midheaven is in Leo. So it's so interesting because it's like this Leo energy for him, which is again the Mercury and the midheaven, which is kind of here to, you know, Leo wants to shine, they want to have fun, it's like a free spirited loving energy. It's all conjuncting Pluto, you know, and Pluto kind of adds this like brooding darkness element to it. So it's literally like he's like transmuting the darkness through humor. That's literally in his chart. And then he's also then transmuting it for the collective as well, okay? So ultimately, you know, someone who had the role of a healer here, okay? But I do feel like he was always looking for some sort of connection, maybe to love or something of that sort, which, by the way, a lot of people who do fall into those codependencies or something of that sort, when they are looking for that connection to love or that one true love or anything of that sort, I find, and once again, you guys, I'm not a psychologist, but just my own observation, it usually stems from not having enough time with a mother when you were a kid or something of that sort. In his case, I'm curious to know what the family background is. Maybe a lot of the mother's attention was diverted from him and onto the father, because maybe the father was an addict. I'm not sure, okay? Or maybe he was an alcoholic because it is Sun in Cancer or Mars in Cancer. Maybe. Obviously, I don't know these people. I'm just speculating here. But it's like, you know, the person doesn't have enough time with the mother, okay, to have that mother's love. So then they spend their whole life looking for this one true love, okay, which is ultimately the mother's love, is really, really what it is. And that can't be replaced. So that's kind of what I get here, okay? There's a lot going on with him where it's like unfulfilling energy. Like he was always looking, I think, for something outside of himself, probably something that he wouldn't have been able to find on this earth plane, is the way that I kind of hook into this energy, because it's like the Pisces Neptune vibe, like that love energy that's like beyond, is really what it is. So yes, that's kind of why he kind of connects me to Matthew Perry. I just always remember in the Matthew Perry story or the book that he had, when his therapist said reality is an acquired taste, okay, because he also was an addict and he struggled with reality. It's like that similar parallel type of energy, which is interesting because I guess the outlet for him was the movies, because in movies you can actually escape. This is Robinwilliams now, like you can escape, you can create this other reality, like, you know. But it's like I feel like the more that he kind of dove into that, the more he kind of separated from the actual physical reality, which was his own. I hope that that makes sense, okay? So it's like anytime anyone does a drug, right, it's like they always want to do more, because it's like, you know, the come down hits harder, right? So for him, there was an escapism energy here connected to the acting, you know, and being in films and so on and so forth. But it's like, you know, the dopamine or whatever it is, it's like you always need more and more and more, and then it's like the come down's like more intense, right? So I just pick up on this energy even of loneliness too. Just like not really feeling like he fit in this world. And I feel like he was always looking for something that was outside of himself, and it's connecting me back to the mother. That's kind of what I have for you guys here on this one. I was not expecting it to go in that direction, but I do hope you guys enjoy this video, okay, this reading. One more thing that I do want to mention, you guys, before I wrap up this reading is the Venus in the 10th house for him. That's his success, right? The wealth is really what it is. It's the Venus in the 10th house here. But it's interesting. The energy that I keep picking up on for him is almost like this energy of feeling undeserving, okay? And it's connecting me always back to the mother and the relationship with mother, like whatever that was. I'm curious. I'm going to look into this after, you guys. Maybe some of you guys know more about his life story. Maybe some of you guys are fans. But that's pretty much what I have for you guys here. So I do hope you guys enjoyed my natal chart reading on Robinwilliams. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. If you guys would like your own natal chart reading, synastry reading, progress natal chart reading, mini synastry reading, mini natal chart reading, you guys can send me an email and we will go from there. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day or evening, wherever you are.